Director, School of Graduate Studies, Deans of Faculties and Schools present, Heads of Department, faculty members present, graduate students, the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my pleasure as the chairman of the organizing committee to welcome you all to the official opening of the College of Health Sciences second edition of our annual graduate conference. Actually, this event is a combination of enormous collective effort which began last year as part of our Vice Chancellor's vision for the university. Prof. Chair, the feedback from our graduate students last year confirmed that they indeed enjoyed and appreciated the graduate conference and were looking forward to it this year. And there's no way we could afford to disappoint them. We have therefore gathered here today as community of scholars and change makers, united by our passion for creating a better Ghana and Africa. As postgraduate students, you have been equipped with knowledge, skills, and critical thinking to tackle the complex challenges facing our world today. Per uniqueness of our college, we have learned to approach problems from multiple angles, to collaborate across disciplines, across departments, and across faculties, and to innovate solutions that are both effective and sustainable. Prof. Chair, the theme for this year's conference is harnessing postgraduate research to achieve sustainable development goals, and is timely and vital conversation. As postgraduate researchers, you are the next generation of innovators, thinkers, and problem solvers. Your work has the potential to drive meaningful changes and contribute significantly to the attainment of SDGs. The SDGs remind us that our work is not done in isolation. We are part of a global community working towards common goals to eradicate poverty, to protect our planet, and to ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity, good health with no one left behind. Prof. Chair, the SDGs provide a framework for addressing some of humanity's most pressing challenges, from climate action through good health for all and to social justice. However, achieving goals requires evidence-based solution, cutting-edge innovation, and collaboration across disciplines and departments. Postgraduate research, especially those at the College of Health Sciences, offer a unique opportunity to explore complex problems, challenging existing knowledge, and develop novel solutions. By aligning our research with the SDGs, we can inform policy and practice with evidence, develop innovative technologies and approaches, foster international collaboration and knowledge sharing, and empower communities and promote social justice. Let us therefore embrace the responsibility that comes with our research as postgraduate students. Let us engage stakeholders, policymakers, and communities around us to ensure our work has real world impact. As we move forward in our careers and personal lives, let us remember the power let us remember of our collective action. Let us draw on our diverse expertise in the college and perspective to co-create solutions that leave no one behind. Prof. Chair, please permit me to give some statistics regarding the conference. Last year, we received 48 abstracts. This year, we have received 165 abstracts. That's 300%. And the breakdown is as follows. School of Medical Sciences submitted the highest, that's 49. Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, 34. School of Public Health, 32. Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, 25. School of Nursing and Midwifery, 22. And School of Veterinary Medicine, 3. Prof. Chair, regarding our finances, last year we spent about 130,000 Ghana cedis on the maiden conference. And the college, through the instrumentality of our provost, actually provided 100,000 cedis. And the planning committee raised 30,000 cedis. Prof. Chair, this year we had a budget of 200,000 cedis. And our provost again gave us 103,000 cedis. And the planning committee was able to raise 112,700 Ghana cedis. Out of these 112,000 raised by the committee, some senior members in the college, made up of principal investigators, whose projects are either at the college or at KCCR, and some renowned professors, including some retired professors in the college, contributed a whooping 77,700 towards this. So, my graduate students, if you are sitting there enjoying the air conditioning and everything, the contribution is coming from the professors from the college. Prof. Chair, at the College of Health Sciences, we always encourage our graduate students to excel. Therefore, last year, we recognized the best oral and poster presenters, and they were given certificates. This year, Prof. Chair, 6 professors in the college actually came together and donated 35,000 cedis, 500, to motivate our award winners. The professors are here, but they don't want their name to be mentioned. And they told me if I mention their names next year, they won't contribute. So, and because I want them to contribute next year, I won't mention their names. So this year, the best presenter will be the best oral presenter will be presented with a package of return international flight tickets and accommodation worth $1,500. Graduation, you heard me right, $1,500 to attend any relevant conference in Europe. Please clap for the, And the first runner-up will take home a brand new laptop worth 10,000 Ghana cedis. And the checks are here. And the second runner-up will take home a tablet worth 5,000 Ghana cedis. And we also have packages for best poster, the first 3 poster presenters. Therefore, I urge my graduate students to work hard to win this coveted award. Prof. Chair, tomorrow we are going to have panel discussion on how we can use our research to achieve sustainable development goals, especially SDG 4, good health for all. And this will be led by our own students from the schools and the faculties. Prof. Chair, tomorrow we are also going to have German West African Center for Pandemic Prevention and Preparedness Colloquium, where GWAP students are going to present their research work on pandemic prevention and preparedness. Therefore, we are all entreated to be there. In conclusion, Prof. Chair, I want to thank our provost, Professor Christian Jare, the deans and the heads of department call him Action Man. Actually, when I presented the budget of 200,000 to him, I was thinking he would go back and say, this year, let's postpone it. But rather, he said, Prof, what matters is the students will present their work, and it's part of the training, so you go ahead, don't think of the money. Provost, thank you very much. I also want to thank our keynote speaker, Professor Richard Odame Phillips, for accepting our invitation to be here. Prof. Chair, I also thank the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Ellis Ousudabo, and the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Rita Akusha-Dixon, who are all proud alumni of this noble college. They are not members of the college, but they are alumni of the college for their unflinching support. We also thank all faculty members present here and you, our cherished students, for your participation in this conference. I wish you all a productive and fulfilling conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Deborah. I think we can still put our hands together for such a wonderful statistics. The College of Health Sciences is really the premier center of excellence when it comes to teaching, research, and entrepreneurship training in medicine, pharmacy, and biomedical sciences. Thank you once again, Prof. Deborah. I think we can rightly boast about our college. If you didn't know, then let me inform you that last year our college was adjudged or awarded the #1, I think the best research excellence or the best college for research in the university. And I think we deserve another round of applause. Yes. The college had the highest output when it comes to research publications. And then when you put together the funding that the university receives, then the College of Health Sciences was the number one. I was going to say amen, but... All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to acknowledge the presence of some dignitaries who are honoring our conference today. We are, first of all, so honored to have in our midst the Pro-Vice Chancellor of KNUST in the person of Professor Ellis Owusu-Dabo. We also have the Provost, the Action Man of the College of Health Sciences, Professor Christian Ejari. We also have in our midst the Director of KCCR, Professor Richard Odame Phillips. Now, the man who just spoke is also the chairperson of the Planning Committee, who doubles as the Dean of Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, Professor Alexander Debra. We also have the Director of the School of Graduate Studies, Professor Eric Kwabena Foucault. And then there can be no research without money, so we also have from the Office of Grants and Research Director, Prof. Philip Entry Ajay. Also seated here are honorable members of the college. I would like to acknowledge Professor Samuel Newton, the Dean of School of Public Health, please. We also have the Dean of the School of Medicine, Professor Akwesi Enchikusi. Next to him, we have the Registrar of the College of Health Sciences, Mrs. Lucy Diewo. We also have the Dean of the School of Nursing, Professor Veronica Jomeku. Seated next to him is the Dean of School of Veterinary Medicine, Professor Benjamin Emikpe. And then we also have representing the Provost of the College of Science, Professor James Faye Bafo. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you for representing the Provost of the College of Science. We also have the Vice Dean of the School of Medical Sciences. Prof, please, can you give us a wave? Thank you. Thank you very much. I can also see our past Provost, Professor Yawedu Sarkodie. Prof, thank you very much for coming. I see our college exams officer, Professor James Opon Checheku. Prof, you are welcome. I see many other faces, and I'm trying to put together their names, but I'll be introducing them as the program goes on. I acknowledge all past provosts, past deans of our dear college, heads of departments, esteemed faculty members, distinguished professors, our visiting researchers who have come from far and near to honor our invitation. We thank you all, invited guests. We thank you for coming. Distinguished participants and invited guests, without much ado, I would like to introduce to you and also invite the chairperson of this conference. And with a standing ovation and a round of applause, please, I would like to welcome Prof. Ellis Owusu-Dabo, yes, who is representing the VC as chairperson. Thank you very much, Prof.
Please resume your seats. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Dr. Asante Kwetia. Thank you. My esteemed Provost of the College of Health Sciences, hardworking. I didn't know that you are taking the mantle of action man. You should come and pay amantamsa to me. My distinguished professor, the keynote, Professor Richard Odame Phillips, and also Director of KCCR, the Director of School of Graduate Studies, distinguished Professor Eric Kwabena Foucault, the Chair of the Organizing Committee, distinguished Professor Alex Debra, thank you for your hard work, and Dean Allied Health, thank you so very much. And of course, Director of the Office of Grants and Research. Whilst he was seated, I said I don't envy him because he is coming from a college that is not very much represented here this morning. How many of you are from science? Science? Oh. So we will be rubbing it in because this is College of Health Sciences. And I was saying exactly the same to Professor Eric Kwabena-Fukuo from engineering. My distinguished deans of faculties, immediate past provost, Professor Yao Edu-Sarkodie has been very, very instrumental as far as conferences within this college are concerned. Extremely hardworking. You find him wherever there's a scientific conference as far as this college is concerned. We're proud of you and the support you grant to this college. Vice deans, representatives of other colleges, my distinguished graduate students, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great joy to be here representing the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Rita Akosua-Dixon, who has asked to be away for an emergency that just came up. It's the reason why I'm standing in. And she brings you greetings. She's excited about the development within the college and wants me to say to you that she's solidly behind you and promises to support every single activity and or action that promotes graduate training. But I'll say a few words for and on her behalf. And we're talking about harnessing postgraduate training for the SDGs, the attainment of the SDGs. And this is 2024. We're only 6 years away from Agenda 2030. Only 6 years away from Agenda 2030. Now, as it is with many, many, many goals that have been set in the past, usually we take time to catch up with the ideals of the goals. Several examples, Vision 2020, several other goals. Agenda 2063 by the African Union is also there, and many do not even know about Agenda 2063. But with the SDGs, whether we're talking about absence of poverty and or hunger, through to SDG 3, which is what we are so much concerned about. And Provost, let me charge you that there is no reason why University of Health and Allied Sciences should overtake us in SDG 3. I think the College of Health Sciences, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, should and must overtake University of Health and Allied Sciences on SDG 3 for all that we're doing in this college. And therefore, we should, I'm talking about the Times Higher Education Sustainability Agenda. So we should be able to overtake University of Health and Allied Sciences because there's a lot that we are doing, is perhaps the fact that we are not showcasing. So all the way through to Agenda 4, which obviously is what we are leading on quality education, through to whether it's inequality, life on water, life beneath water, whether it's climate change, whether it is justice, whether it is partnerships for health. It is important that we understand that there's one way that we can transform our world economies through sustainability. And that is to identify the problems that bedevil us as a country, a continent, Africa, identify these problems and prefer practical solutions to these problems through research. Through research. And many of you have heard me say over and over again, and that's why I'm so proud of you, you postgraduate students represented here, heavily numbered this morning. A round of applause for yourselves for representing your various departments in this conference. We cannot transform our economies if we do not identify the problems, in this case in health. And of course, you know that once you tackle health, there are ripples. And that's the interesting thing about the Sustainable Development Goals. And that's what the EOC chair was talking about. it is important that we don't work in silos, but we work across the various SDGs. And so when you pick health, health in itself has got ripples. Health has got ripples on poverty, health has got ripples on hunger, health has got ripples on quality of education and justice and all of those things. If you're talking about mass drug administration and you're targeting a particular population and you do not consider the issue of justice, inequities, these are all part of what we're supposed to be addressing. And therefore, when you address these issues in health, look out for the ripples that could be gained through sustainability. And I am certain that once this college has chosen this pathway of placing research on the highest agenda or as its highest priority, there's no way that we will not be able to go far, even beyond Agenda 2030. This will spiral into Agenda 2063 and, of course, beyond. First and foremost, we academics are researchers. And I've said this over and over and over again. And I've said that it's out of our research that we teach. It's out of our research that we offer service. Out of our research. And there are so many experts here in different fields. And you are already in the pathway of your chosen career and discipline, the area of specialization. Once research becomes your topmost priority, then you're beginning to unravel the problems and preferring solutions. Can you imagine, after 10, 15, 20 years of researching in that area, if you were to stand and teach, can you imagine the impact you make? If you were to stand and offer service, say community screening of glaucoma, because you're a glaucoma expert, who can better do this than yourselves? That is the pathway of changing our continent and not least our country. I thank you so very much, and on that note, I accept on behalf of the Vice Chancellor the opportunity to serve as chairperson for this occasion. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Owusu Dabo. Before we continue, I would like to inform all postgraduate students present here who have not yet registered that you are mandated to register during the snack break or before the closing of the ceremony. And also tomorrow, your certificates, receiving a certificate is dependent on registering for both days. So if you have not yet registered, please, during the snack break, try and register on site in front of the building. Also, our scientific poster sessions will be happening immediately after the opening ceremony. If you still have your poster and have not yet found your board, please locate your board in the rooms next to the auditorium. Then you can set up for the poster session. All right. Next, we would like to take our welcome address from the Provost of the College of Health Sciences. Please, let's put our hands together for Professor Christian Ejari as he gives us his welcome address.
Thank you, Doc. Good morning. Chair and Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Owusu Dabo, representing the Vice Chancellor, Director, School of Graduate Studies, Director, OGR, the keynote speaker, and also the Director of KCCR, Professor Phillips, and the Chair of the Organizing Committee, Professor Alice Deborah, our immediate past Provost, who is always with us, the Deans, Vice Deans, HODs, senior members, postgraduate students, and all invited guests. We are very grateful for the second edition of the Postgraduate Conference. And I take this opportunity on behalf of the management of the college and then the planning committee to warmly welcome you. Why are we here? The college of the management of the college realized that if you are leading in terms of research and grant attraction, it means that you have a group of people who are facilitating this behind the scenes. Who are these people? These are the postgraduate students. We know our professors are doing so well, but what can we do to make sure that we are always coming out as the best when it comes to research output and then grants attraction? So we initially established the graduate grants, that is grants for postgraduate students and young faculty, and we are in our second year giving research grants to postgraduate students. And we realized that we should be able to create a platform for them to showcase their research activities, network, and also at the same time, this will motivate them to do more because management has agreed that we are going to do this annually. If we are having our biennial scientific conference, it's going to be incorporated in the biennial scientific conference, which the next one will be coming on next year. So, indirectly, postgraduate students will be motivated or will be forced to work because you are supposed to make an oral presentation or poster presentation before you graduate. And we've agreed, and supervisors and senior members are all aware that you can't submit your thesis without making a presentation. And this is helping us in terms of our research outputs. We've been, as indicated by the chair, from a little over maybe 40, now hitting 300%. It means that we've embraced this. And I'm hoping that supervisors, interestingly, they don't want to be mentioned. They are the ones also funding this arrangement. Yesterday, I had a discussion with the chair, and he informed me that, Prof, we've been able to secure more than half of the money. I said, we are grateful to God. And then the work that you people are doing, because God works through people. And we appreciate you, although most of you don't want to be mentioned. And also our benefactors and then sponsors. I believe they've been invited. And at the appropriate time, we will recognize them. I'm supposed to just give a welcome address. But what I can say is that, science, you are here. You are trying to overtake us in terms of research outputs and grants. Interestingly, the director of OGR is coming from science. But it will be difficult. With the momentum that both my postgraduate students and supervisors are having now, but it's good so that it will urge us to do more. And on this note, I appreciate your presence here and that of the planning committee for putting this together, and it's going to be exciting for the coming 2 days. And at the end of the day, my postgraduate students will not be afraid to attend international conferences, give oral presentation as if they are the one being either the senior authors or the supervisors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Christian Ejari. We are grateful. Yes, once again, on our facts about CHS, today I took it upon myself to be giving you some facts about our college, so that as you go around, you can boast about our college. And if you are not from our college, Professor Odia, and you can still boast on our behalf. Please, you can boast on our behalf. All right, so did you know that the College of Health Sciences runs an early career research grant scheme? And just last month, some of our researchers received a total of about 108,000 Ghana cedis from the provost's office or from the college to support their researchers. I think you can still put your hands together, giving a louder round of applause for the college, the provost, and the management team. We are so grateful. So I encourage everyone Next time when there's a call for these funds from the provost office or from the college, take advantage, apply, and who knows, you may receive some funds for your research in the next years. I don't know why I keep thinking amen in my head. Thank you very much, Prophet Jari. We cannot have a postgraduate conference without hearing from the graduate school. So next on our program, we would like to receive a message from the director of the School of Graduate Studies. Let's welcome Professor Eric Kwabena-Foucault.
Good morning to you once again. I will stand on the existing protocol that has already been set. I'm excited to be here this morning, not as a member of the College of Health Science. I'm excited to be here this morning as a director of graduate studies, and I could see more postgraduate students taking advantage of this. Indeed, I will also agree with the various speakers that indeed College of Health Science is really a center of excellence for postgraduate research. I will add my voice. Then I will say, not only that, it's also a center of excellence for postgraduate studies. Looking at our graduating statistics, I think they are also doing well in terms of graduating students. And looking at my own college and College of Science, after the College of Humanities, I think we can always rely on the College of Health Science for our graduate studies. So immediately from here, we need to write to my own college and College of Science for us to do more. And I know by next year, when I stand here for the third or the biannual, definitely the story and the statistics will change. We're really going to talk about that. We wrote to all the colleges about 3 years ago, and I'm excited because College of Science actually is doing what is in line with our status, and then graduate school board. We approved recently, and we're going to submit to academic board that we are moving away from just the evidence of publication to actual publication. So it means that this conference is in line with what we have agreed to do. So one academic board, we are only left with the numbers, 2, 3, 1. And luckily enough, PhD students have 4 years here. So if you have a college that will organize conference every year, then definitely you can boast of about not even 2, at least 2 publications. And definitely our next graduation criteria, if the academic board approve, is going to be dealing with the numbers. I will go for at least 2 for PhD students here at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. We've already attained the quality teaching. I think the next in line, once the provost is here, is the quality research. And probably because the top management are coming from the College of Science. When I was sitting down there, I've been thinking about why are they doing so well? Is it because VC is coming from the college and the provost is also coming from the college? It may be, we will look into it and see whether, because you are doing so well. They are doing so well. So well. So very soon you will hear from us about the numbers. But we have agreed that definitely we're going to use publication as part of the graduation criteria. 2, 3 publications, definitely we will decide. Again, as a country, as a nation, as a university, we cannot do much without the quality postgraduate publication and postgraduate research. And conferences, I really prefer conferences even than the actual publication, because then you have the network, you have people to ask you questions. I was going for one conference in Turkey, and looking at the background of the researchers, I had problem with some error analysis, but I look at the background of the attendees, then I said, okay, I will manage to convince them. So instead of saying my error was 7.5 meters, I said it was half a pixel. Even though I didn't lie, I spoke in a different language. So by the time I say thank you, anybody who had questions, I would have finished my presentation. So you see, the advantage of conference is you have the network and people also have the opportunity to ask you questions more than the publication. Publication, you are dealing with only the editors and the editorial board. But this is for a whole host of people here from different backgrounds. So to present for them to understand means that you have to come down to their level. And after that, you have questions to answer. So it makes you more. Thank you. I will try to, even apart from today, I will try to join. Thank you for the opportunity that I've given unto us. We are so excited. And our next board meeting, we're going to mention your name everywhere that we have the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director of the School of Graduate Studies. So if you are here and you have not yet written anything to publish, please, especially PhD students, remember that he said they are going to look out for how many publications? At least 2 from you, and it is doable. He has taught you how. If you think your results are not so convincing, what do? Find ways and means of communicating the same results. Okay, so if you think your standard error mean is too big, just go and check how many meters is equal to 1 kilometer. And start doing your conversions. Then you can easily communicate it. Then most of us will be confused. We will not be able to ask any questions. Let's put our hands together once again for the Director of the School of Graduate Studies. As we mentioned earlier, we also have here the Director of the Office of Grants and Research, and would like to welcome him for a word. Please let's put our hands together as we welcome Professor Philip Nchiaji.
Good morning. Why? Because I'm not from the college, you won't even respond. As I sat, I told myself, today, College of Science is on the table. Now, I am also a pastor, so I bring some divinity in. And when Professor Foucault was talking, he kept referring to College of Science, even though he meant to refer to College of Health Sciences. And I think he was speaking prophetically. God richly bless you. And you know, when you are going to run with somebody, you assess the competence, the capacity, the ability of that person. And sometimes when we were young, you say, I'm giving you some 3 steps ahead, go and I'll catch you. That is what College of Science, we've done the assessment and we know we'll catch you. So go ahead and we'll come and catch you. But on a more serious note, thank you very much for inviting the office. And let me also stand on the existing protocol that have been laid. It is with great honor that I join you today at the 2nd Postgraduate Conference of the College of Health Sciences, KNUST. The theme of this year's conference is timely and profoundly significant. It highlights the indispensable role of postgraduate research in addressing some of the most pressing challenges confronting us today. Professor Chair, I think it has already been mentioned, but let me make it official that the college continues to rank first when it comes to grantsmanship, and then the number of publications in Scopus Index journals, and I think we need to applaud ourselves for this. But whilst on publications and grantsmanship, let me also mention that let's allow our PhD students to lead most of the papers. Let's allow them to be the first authors as much as possible. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Office of Grants and Research remains committed at providing research support services to all faculty and postgraduate students in their pursuit to conduct research, as this is one of the core mandates of our great university. As an office, we will continue to champion the research intensiveness agenda of the university and our doors remain open, so you can always call on us when the need arises. As the director of the office, I want to reaffirm our commitment to supporting postgraduate students, and will continue to collaborate with the School of Graduate Studies to provide opportunities for mentorship, thesis supervision, training, workshops, and conferences. We believe in the power of your ideas and the importance of your contributions to our collective pursuit of the SDGs and our university's vision to be research intensive. I therefore urge you all to take advantage of this conference to think boldly, collaborate widely, and push the boundaries of your research beyond the four walls of this university. Embrace the challenges that come your way as opportunities for growth, and never underestimate the impact of your research. Let me, before I take my seat, commend the provost of the college, Professor Christian Ejare, also known as Action Man, and the conference organizing committee chaired by my very good friend, the able Professor Deborah, who attended, I said last year when I was here, who attended the best boys' school in this region. And I will not mention the name, you know it already. I wish you all pleasant conference. As I said, our offices are always open for you to come and discuss your research with us. On that note, I wish you all the best and say God richly bless you.
Thank you very much, Professor Entry Eche. As we already heard, this conference is proudly sponsored by some benevolent firms, institutions, and groups, and would like to acknowledge these firms or institutions. Firstly, we received sponsorship from GWAC, which is the German West African Center for Global Health and Pandemic Prevention. If we have a rep from GWAC here, let's put our hands together as they give us a wave, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We see you. We also have Asib Company Limited. Asib Company Limited. Thank you very much, Asib Company. We also have PVG Limited, Get Start Research Shop. We also have Incas Diagnostics, Multinec Co. Limited, and Spectra Co. Limited. We thank you so much, our benevolent sponsors. Next, we would like to receive our keynote address, but before that, I would like to read an introduction or a profile of our keynote speaker. So our keynote speaker is a professor of medicine at the School of Medical Sciences and director of the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, KCCR, at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He has a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery obtained at KNUST, a PhD in Infection and Immunity obtained at the University of London, United Kingdom. He has a fellowship in internal medicine with the West African Postgraduate Medical College and the Ghana Postgraduate Medical College. He has more than 25 years in the practice of medicine at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital in Kumasi, where he held the position of infectious disease consultant. He conducts research in the area of infectious diseases, particularly Mycobacterium ulcerans disease, which is Buruli ulcer, neglected skin diseases, emerging infectious diseases, HIV, hepatitis, and tuberculosis. He has received awards, including the prestigious MRC African Research Leader Award and the EDCTP Senior Fellowship. He is a member of the Neglected Tropical Disease Regional Program Review Group, established by the World Health Organization. He is the Vice Chair of the Ghana Intra-Country Coordinating Committee for Neglected Tropical Diseases, a high-level body that reports to the Minister of Health in Ghana. He led the KCCR through the COVID-19 pandemic, resulting in national and international recognition of the center as the second largest testing center in Ghana. He has successfully managed research projects, served in different editorial roles for PLOS, neglected tropical diseases, and has produced 240 peer-reviewed papers and book chapters. Ladies and gentlemen, with a loud round of applause and even a standing ovation, shall we welcome Professor Richard Odame Phillips to give us the keynote address. Thank you very much.
Prof. Chair, I wish to kindly stand on the existing protocol. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Yeah. Okay. I would like to begin by congratulating the College of Health Sciences and the conference organizing committee for successfully putting together an impressive line of activities for the second College of Health Sciences Postgraduate Conference. And the conference will allow our postgraduate students to showcase their work as well as enrich their skills in research communication. I say, Aiko. I feel really humbled to be asked to do this keynote address. And I'm grateful for this and for the fact that I'll be able to share some thoughts on harnessing postgraduate research to achieve the sustainable development goals. And I've chosen to approach this topic by attempting to answer a few questions. So the questions are, where are we with research and science in Africa? What is needed for a strong graduate program and what are the challenges? Why should there be a change in game plan? What is the aim of the SDGs and the role of doctoral education and postgraduate education in achieving the SDGs? What are the solutions and opportunities to transform health research in Africa? So I'll try to do this in the time allocated to me. Where are we with science in Africa? I mean, we all know that Africa led science in the past, and it has the oldest record of human technological achievement. I mean, there's a lot of evidence of it in East Africa, and Africa made a lot of achievements in maths, metallurgy, and architecture, but something happened along the line. Science received relatively little attention, and that is why we may be where we are today. If we look at the numbers relating to researchers per million inhabitants, a recent UNESCO report showed that if you look at the whole world, the average for researchers per million is over 1,368. And when you look at Europe and the developed world, most of them are doing over 4,000 per million. When you come to sub-Saharan Africa, okay, South Africa being the highest in Africa is doing 518 per million population. But the average for Africa is 124 per million of population. And that shows you that we are not where we are, and we need to start thinking about why we are in this situation. And if you look at this data from the World Bank, if you look at all the purple colors there on top, they are doing more than 1,000 researchers per million. And sadly, if you look at Africa, you can see the pale coloring suggesting that we are not where we are supposed to be. And actually, the data for Ghana in that report is 87 per million, even though the average for Africa is 124. And those are some numbers we need to have. Even if it is not accurate, we are nowhere near the world average, and that should set us thinking. There are not enough scientists in Africa, and Africa is actually losing 20,000 at least professionals into high-income countries every year. And it's estimated that the continent needs about 1 million more PhDs to catch up with the world numbers. And data shows that at least 10% of our graduates are heading towards other developed countries for different reasons. When it comes to scientific publication, this is the data from the UNESCO report that shows that Ghana and Nigeria seem to be doing well recently. And so you can see the top one represents Nigeria and the blue one represents Ghana. You can see that we have an upward trajectory, but we have to place it all into context. If you look at the whole world numbers, it looks like scientific articles published worldwide with at least one author based in an African institution, we are just doing less than 1% of that. And actually, with global expenditure on health research, only 10% is directed towards the poorest world's population issues, especially in Africa. And if you look at investments that have been made in research, the numbers are also there to speak for itself. There's a lot of evidence to show that the world average is that most countries that, are doing more than 1.75% of GDP. But let's look at South Africa, that does the highest in Africa, is doing 0.83% of GDP. Sub-Saharan Africa is doing 0.51%. And if you want to know what Ghana is doing, is 0.45% of GDP. If we look at a study that was done, data collected by the British Council and DAAD, it corroborated some of the findings, and that study was done in Ghana. It showed and it confirmed low research productivity if you compare us to other countries up there. Inadequate numbers of staff with PhD still characterize the system. This was looking at 10 universities, 9 of them public universities and 1 private university. And the persistent lack of capacity and inadequate funding to promote research and PhD was evident in that report. But what do we need for a good graduate program? And we carried out some work in 2011 in 5 African countries and published this work in PLOS Medicine. And in that work, we showed the areas that need attention if you want a strong graduate program. And it includes institutional policies and structures, the research environment of the student and infrastructure, the whole doctoral cycle, and the student experience. All that together helps to strengthen the graduate program. And in that report, 10 common gaps were identified, and they were, some of the universities did not have the right policies in place, qualified supervisors, resources were not enough. Most of the PhDs did not have, and graduate students did not have office or desk space. Induction programs or orientations were not available. Systemic skills development programs were not optimal. Student progress monitoring was suboptimal. Lengthy final exam processes was evident. Appeal processes were not evident for students. Feedback mechanisms for students and staff was not easily available. And this was looking at 5 countries that included Ghana. I'll say that a lot of progress has been made since then. But there was this work also that was done after that in 2015 and 16 that corroborated some of the findings, but showed also that there had been improvement in some of the areas. For instance, if you concentrate on the red boxes, library facilities were not really an issue this time in most of the universities that were discussed. But you can see that 58% of inadequacies in workspace for PhD students, 52% for computer-based, web-based computer services, and specialized equipment sometimes that students need, research infrastructure, a little bit of that, but up to 20%. So it wasn't, all issues had not been dealt with. And in terms of quality, the quality was also evident. If you look at the quality of workspace for PhD students, 72% of them said it was really poor. So we cannot say that we are where we are. There are challenges that we need looking at as a university, as a country, and as Africa. We need to concentrate on plugging these challenges. And the issue is that strengthening research capacity in low middle income countries is one of the most powerful, cost-effective, and sustainable means of advancing health and development. And health science research in particular may contribute to improved health, social welfare, and poverty reduction if the findings are applied domestically. Currently, we know that Africa is home to 1/6 of the world's population and is estimated to account for 1/4 of the global burden of disease. But what does the Sustainable Development Goals, what is it looking at? The main aim of the Sustainable Development Goals is to transform our world. It's a transformational agenda aimed at ending poverty, inequality, protecting the planet, ensuring that people enjoy good health, justice, prosperity, and this is critical. So we need to think transformational. We need to think about how things can change, meaning that we cannot do things the same way that we did it in the past. The Sustainable Development Goals we know came up in 2015, adopted by the UN countries. And it's a 2030 agenda, meaning that we have 5.5 years more to deliver on this. 17 goals, 169 targets, 304 indicators to show compliance. And goal 3 has to do with healthy lives and promoting well-being, whilst goal 4 has to do with quality education. And you know what KNUST is doing with respect to that. The Millennium Development Goals targeted the low middle income countries, but the Sustainable Development Goal saw that there has to be more of a global exchange or discussion rather than concentrating on the low middle income countries. And what's the reason for this? The SDGs recognize complex and interconnected nature of global challenges, and so you cannot concentrate on just low middle income countries. And there are some novelties in this Sustainable Development Goals that we need to look at if we are going to transform our tomorrow. And if we are going to transform health and education, there has to be intersectorial action, meaning that multiple stakeholders need to place health and education in all sectors so that there's a combined strength of all. And there has to be strengthening of health systems so that there's universal health access. Then there has to be respect for all and sustainable financing, looking at other options for financing our graduate programs, and especially looking for domestic sources that align an alignment of flow to prevent duplication. And we need to look at scientific research innovation. It's one of the novelties. And to balance research on medical, social, and environment, not just skewed towards medical, but making sure that all the other aspects are taken into consideration. And also monitoring and evaluation all that we are doing in the process. It should involve critical thinking and problem solving, encouraging creativity and innovation, and connecting learning with the real world and building global competencies is key if we are to transform our world. And so our postgraduate research should be set out looking at some of these novelties and looking at how we can transform Ghana, Africa, and the world. And what is the role of our graduate education? It has a real major role to play, because that is where new skills are gained for both inside and outside academia. We deal with ethical dilemmas. We learn how to deal with them. We learn how to assess the role of new technologies and how to communicate it to all societies. And so really, investing in doctoral programs is investing in a sustainable future. And that is why we need to have a focus on our doctoral and our graduate programs. The solutions, opportunities to transform health and research in Africa. What are some of the opportunities? We really have an opportunity to transform health postgraduate research. Why? There has to be a significant focus on our youth, because 60% of Africa population is under 25. And more than 40% of African youth make up the global youth population. And it is believed that if we follow the same trajectory, we'll have about 1 billion youth by 2050. Meaning that there's the need for us to give more opportunity to the youth, because the developed countries do not have that. And so we have a real advantage to invest more in the youth, to build such capacity. And that is what is going to lead the transformation in Africa and in Ghana. And that means that we need to give more people the opportunity. And this is a bit provocative, because we need to look at how to double our numbers, triple our numbers of our PhD programs and graduate programs, and to be able to play catch up. And remember that KNUST is a leading science university, so if this will start, it has to start with us. But we need to have innovative ideas as to how to do this. And that is where the critical thinking comes in. We have a real big opportunity, and that is why the developed worlds are targeting our youth, because they do not have the youth. And so we need to put in more into giving more of our youth the opportunity. So what can KNUST do? We need to think. That is food for thought for all of us. If we have to do that, then there has to be advocacy for funding allocation to research, and this is key for success. We need to look at the numbers. If you look at the numbers for sub-Saharan Africa, you can see that we are not doing so well. The red represents Arabia in terms of how much we contribute to research generally. We are doing below the 1% that has been prescribed by the AU, that all Africans should be able to get to that. And if we don't have enough funding, there's potential that is going to have effect on the impact of the research and the quality of the research that we carry out. So there has to be an aggressive drive looking at how we can raise more funding for our PhD programs and graduate programs. There's this work that was done, published in the same work done by DAD and British Council. There were some observations. And if you look at the slide I've put up, it looked at major sources of financial support for PhD studies according to those that had just finished the program. And majority of them received a little bit, about 50% of them received a little bit of funding from their universities. About 6% was a second source of funding from the universities. Also from international donors, about 1/3 of them had about money from international donors, but that contributed mainly a third source of funding. Others had funding from other sources. But the striking thing is that majority of them had self-sponsorship as driving the kind of work that they were doing. And that is evident, and I'm sure if we interview some of our graduate students, they will be able to tell us how they are getting the funding for their work. Strikingly, you'll see that industry and business sector is not contributing much at all to those that were interviewed, and I don't think it has changed so much. And that is what we need to be looking at. We need to look at how to target industry. We need to look at how to target the pharmaceuticals, the private sector, to be able to ring-fence some funding for our graduate students to allow us to be able to scale up our numbers. We need to look at collaboration. Collaboration is an important part. If you need to get funding through collaboration, potentially you could get some funding. College level fund, research funds, we've been told that the College of Health Sciences has done something, provided money to the tune of 108,000 for our students. This is laudable, but we need to look at innovative ways of attracting more funding and allocating some for defined number of students to be able to deliver on their work. We've also set up the endowment fund. We can decide to set up a percentage specifically targeting postgraduate students. And we have CREF and we have the director for OGR here. We can ring-fence some of the funding that every year we are going to sponsor about 30 graduate students, and that is also a way that we can scale up. So we need efforts from all if we are going to be able to make progress with our graduate programs. And there has to be a change also with the graduate training. We need to interrogate this, look at how we can change our graduate programs to meet different career paths. And for a very long time, PhD graduates have aimed for and built careers in academia and research to the extent that those who fail to get in consider themselves as failures, with other sectors considered of lesser value. But we need to think about these numbers. In the Netherlands, close to 70% of PhD holders work outside academia. In the US, about 30% work outside academia and 35% in academia. In Africa, with new universities coming up, there's even more need for PhD students because academia is not saturated yet. How much more looking at other fields? But academia currently is increasingly demanding complex competencies beyond just teaching and research. To drive the kind of transformation of the academy and its contribution, we need to train our students with skills that will allow them to be able to cope in this new world. And for sustainable development, we need to train enough PhDs to fill these potential careers, including other careers like civil society, you will not think about that, and civil service and the private sector. We need to apply PhD levels, people who have PhD level critical thinking and knowledge generation skills in all these fields and not just in academia. For them to be able to fit into all these careers, they need cross-cutting skills, different cross-cutting skills that we need to look at how to inculcate in our graduate program. Cross-disciplinary capacity, project management skills, planning activities, scheduling, chairing meetings, conference calls, and taking minutes at meetings, and also managing research and implementation projects. Improved communication skills. I mean, this meeting is a way of improving the communication skills and it's very laudable. But students have to learn how to use graphics tools to create high quality presentations or illustrations that convey complex information to lay and audiences in simple ways. And these are critical for any postgraduate or post-PhD career, and our programs have to look at that. And the other bit we need to think about is teaching. We need to provide an avenue for our students to teach for specific or specified hours as an inbuilt requirement for our award of the degree. Maybe we have not thought about this, but even when it's not required for our programs, students should accumulate some hours of teaching because it helps them with facilitation skills, and that will be an innovation for them, and it will allow them to acquire certain skills. This is food for thought for us. We need to learn how to... And also acquiring skills of conducting workshops, virtually in-person, facilitating courses, presentation at conferences like they are doing, seminars and meetings, writing manuscripts, dissertations, and improve written, oral, and written communication. Mentoring undergraduate students. We have many undergraduate students. Some can serve as mentors for them. We need to give them leadership roles for them to inculcate such cross-cutting skills. Advocating for student issues on the broader public health matters and mobilizing resources for student associations or conferences. These are all skills they need to acquire. Joining think tanks and participating in policy dialogues or stakeholder engagement, including volunteering for CSOs. We may not find it attractive, but these are all ways that they can develop cross-cutting skills. If these have to happen, we need to rethink our curricula to build these critical skills for diverse career paths, because it will get to a time our universities or academia will be choked and they still need to fit into the system. KNUST is promoting a lot of entrepreneurship, and we need to encourage that among our students, linking our PhD students with the world of work, field experiential training, models of attachments, of placements in communities or institutions, helps them to acquire these skills. And exposing them to networks and partnerships is all part of the game. And to our students, they also need to be willing to acquire such skills. They need to embrace technology in its current form, and also think about the self-employment route, even if that has to be an option. And learning a new language, if you have time, that will also improve your chances of fitting into different careers. And if we have to be able to do that, we need to be able to provide enough support for our students. And you saw that for most of our students, they did not have adequate working space, because it is thought that if they have adequate working space and sitting space, their mentors or their supervisors can interact more with them, and there'll be a lot of exchanges in trying to build and inculcate some of these skills that are not always present with our students, and some of our students do struggle. We need to think about how to balance international and local research. You cannot just think about local research. You need to think about international partnership, because the local research tends to bring on cultural and contextual relevance, whereas the international partnerships bring global expertise and resources that you may need for your work. And so we need to put local insights. Local insights need to be integrated into the global health discourse, and that is critical if we want to align with the sustainable development goals. And research with a global perspective often lies beyond one person. Gone are the times when one person could go and hide somewhere and carry out all his research. It is no longer possible. You need to think interdisciplinary, intersectorial, international, bring all those perspectives along. And so I can foresee that in the future, our college will even be running conferences like this with College of Science, Engineering, and others, so that there will be a lot of interdisciplinarity to improve the quality of the work that we are doing. And that is what I am advocating for, even beyond this. And there was a public recent data to show that in production of the top 1% most cited publications from selected universities, 20% in some of the universities did not have any cooperation at all, and very small percentages were doing domestic cooperation and intra-Africa cooperation. So we need to start thinking and reflecting on these if we are thinking about achieving the sustainable development goals. And if all that has to be possible, we also need to rethink and reflect on the type of research our students are doing and the work we are doing. We need to address research priorities. We need to think about our research questions and how to execute them: affordability, answerability, attractiveness, equity, feasibility, novelty, potential for translation, potential for impact, public opinion, involvement of end users, community involvement, ethical issues, cost effectiveness, and also the general public benefits. These have, with a lot of thought has to go into these. Otherwise, we are not aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals. We need to have a transformational mind in terms of the research priorities that we have for our work. Another big problem that needs addressing is our article publication charges that is stalling the progress of African researchers, and there is a call for urgent reforms. And open access came on as a solution, but also came along with a problem, because now African institutions and our programs, students need to pay APCs, lecturers have to pay article processing charges to publish in journals that are highly cited. And this is unfair for our part of the world. And we cannot even afford partial waivers, even when it's discounted by 50%, because some of the journals are charging up to about $6,000 per publication. And so if they give you 50%, will you still be able to achieve $3,000 for your publication? We are unable to achieve this. So fees limit the volume of publications from us African researchers, especially in high impact open access, and we need to advocate for these to stop. APC should be waived completely for low middle income countries to be visible, and it is unfair for us to continue the way that we are going. And recently, actually, I received a mail last week from the BMC series of journals saying that they've now instituted a country-tiered APC pricing initiative. And they provided a link that I went on and I looked up Ghana. And actually, Ghana, people publishing from Ghana pay nothing for publishing in these BMC series. So we need to take advantage of the discourse. There's a huge discourse on this, and our students and our faculty, we need to take advantage and make use of some of these waivers or some of these exemptions that have been provided so that our work can be visible everywhere. And finally, to transform our world, we need to transform our postgraduate and research programs. If we have to do that, we need to scale up our graduate training with a focus on our youth, think about how we can catch them young, push them into these programs, and end up making sure we bring up people who are critical thinkers and can innovate and change Ghana. We need to improve our graduate training to meet all careers, and I mentioned some of the things that we can do to improve our graduate programs to meet the current state of international training. We need to promote cultural and contextual relevance integrated into the global discourse. We need to promote partnership and collaboration, and these partnerships should also be intra-university so that we can work together to address problems together to be able to make inroads. We need to advocate for substantial allocation of funds in our colleges and in our countries and from the private sector and from all sources. And we need to advocate for elimination of processing charges for low middle income country. And I took this photograph yesterday on campus, and with KNUST being in the lead for quality education globally, I think we can do it. We can stay in the lead and transform our graduate programs for the better. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. A resounding round of applause again for Professor Odame Phillips. Wow. That was such an inspiring and insightful presentation. Indeed, investing in postgraduate studies is investing in a better future. A few pointers I picked were that you always remember that your research has a real major role to play in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Again, collaboration is very important when it comes to receiving funding, and I believe that this conference gives us a perfect platform to collaborate, find somebody to do an interdisciplinary research with, and that way you can attract more funding. And he also said that researchers with global perspectives do not lie in one man kind of research, the one you stay alone in your corner and do. No. If you want your research to have a global impact, then it has to be an interdisciplinary kind of research. Yes. And he also said that most of our doctoral students are looking to academia now. But if you look at developed countries, you also have people with PhDs who are employed in other sectors apart from academia. And even though Africa still needs people in academia, time is coming where academia will be choked. And so you need to have some cross-cutting and cross-disciplinary skills to be able to fit in the wider economy. And about APCs, I was recently trying to submit a manuscript to a journal that we had previously published with for free. And after going through the whole process, you know how it is, trying to do referencing and to fit the journal's guidelines. And at the end, when I was thinking it was free, I saw that they are now charging for lower middle income. Then, as if I don't know Ghana is part of lower middle income, I went to open the link for checking all countries that belong to low, just to see whether Ghana has been moved to low income. Because low income was free. But lo and behold, Ghana is still part of lower middle income. It's okay. We hope that we will all find the BMC journals that are now receiving our publications for free. Shall we please put our hands together again for Prof. Odame Phillips. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, car number AW372421. AW372421. The owner of this car should kindly move out and unblock somebody. Next on our program, we would have the declaration of the official opening of the conference by the Pro-Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, wonderful moderator. You've done such a great job summarizing the work that I was supposed to have done. And so it gives me a rather small task to perform. But I still have to say a few words before I officially declare this conference duly commenced. So as my moderator has indicated, KNUST has done a wonderful job of presenting to us what the situation is and what we can potentially do through graduate training in changing our world. He started off by telling us about the precarious nature of Africa's numbers. Our numbers have always been terrible. So he looked at publications, he looked at investments, he looked at partnerships, he looked at population of postgraduate training. There's several opportunities that exist. I mean, the Africa Research Universities Alliance, ARUA, for example, has an ambition to train over 100,000 PhDs. That's an opportunity, and KNUST happens to be one of those research-intensive universities. So I'm pushing Professor Ernest Aite to make sure that we have our numbers in there. But there's still a couple of challenges, and our keynote mentioned all of those. He mentioned about the overall low numbers of PhDs, which requires a critical mass of PhDs that ought to be trained. But of course, we don't have to sacrifice quality for the numbers, and it's important that it's not just a question of we have an agenda to train 100,000 PhDs. It has to look at the quality as well. And talking about quality, we need to look out for all those opportunities, and our keynote did just that. He also pointed out about other opportunities referring to the Africa's large youthful population and the fact that we could create a critical mass and the need to ensure that we get our youth in focus and in terms of graduate training that they find themselves in there. He looked also at the issue of the contribution of the Union, the African Union, in terms of the 1% of the GDP. We've been at this for almost 30 years now. I remember as a young researcher when I joined, there was a meeting that was held in Health Research Unit in Accra at Abraka. We brought all sorts of big people around, and it was talking about contributing 1% of GDP to support research and development in Ghana. To date, I haven't seen any. The Kenyans have taken the lead. Other countries in East Africa have taken the lead, and they're already doing this. Of course, he mentioned the Graduate Research Endowment Fund, and I think I saw the Graduate GRASAC president. Is he here? A round of applause for, do you want to stand so we recognize you? Mr. Felix Eduse, who started, together with his team, started a Graduate Research Endowment Fund. There are several endowment funds that we can create. And Provost, this is something we need to encourage. You and I have been on the College Endowment Fund. And a chunk of this can be a strategy to supporting graduate training. And that our keynote has mentioned. He talked about collaboration for funding graduate research and spoke about the holistic training and the skills that are required for today's postgraduate student. So he spoke about creativity, innovation, communication. And nobody tells you about how to communicate with your supervisor as a graduate student. But it's an art you learn. Whether you're a science student or not, you need to learn that art of the science of graduate training. And part of it is really how to communicate and seek the attention of your supervisor. And if you don't learn this, you can end up, instead of doing a program for 3-4 years, you can end up doing this for 6-7 years. Communication. And of course, he spoke about support for career development at the PhD level. And let's endeavor, supervisors, faculty, heads of department, let's create offices for particularly, as for the masters, there are a lot. But for the PhDs, they must have desks to sit. Okay? It's part of the support systems he's talking about. These are very practical. Support systems must have a desk. I still recall my first encounter with John Britton, my professor of epidemiology at the time, University of Nottingham. He told me the first thing he did, my supervisor, the first thing he did was to ask me whether I had a laptop. I said I did. And then he brought me, those days we had the Ethernet cable. I used to have this Sony small 11.2 inch. I'm not sure whether it was a good thing to have used that Sony because I think my eyes were affected eventually. But the point is that what John did was that he brought me an Ethernet cable and bent over the table and was looking for an IP port for me to plug in my Ethernet cable. And then he says, that's your desk, that's your chair, that's your Ethernet cable. Finished. He knew what he was doing. It's a small desk, but the productivity from those small desks you find in those places is unbelievable. And it's just connecting you to the rest of the world of research so you know what goes on. So a small desk, office space, and so on and so forth, so that we don't have this half and half attitude, People, it's as if they are doing it's as if they are not doing it. You can't find them. They are not there. They are there. They are doing this. You can't find, you're looking. And sometimes I literally have to call my graduate student, PhD, to come and see me. I find it quite unfortunate. You see, so make it a point. Don't be shy. Wait, this is a very serious matter he's presenting to us today. Don't be shy. Support systems. Don't be shy. The collaboration, and he spoke about, a time will come that we can find, people in science working in health sciences and so on. It's a cross-cutting thing, and that is very, 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 very good. There's a statement in our science, in our world of science. We say that if Mendel had read Robert Koch, our world of science would have been better. The point is that a lot of us do so many things in silos. We're not talking to each other and so on. Of course, I'm not naive that we're extremely territorial in our part of the world. But the point is that if we are talking across, even within the same department, across departments, across colleges, across disciplines, we're talking about the SDGs here. It's the SDGs. So everything here and there, and then you bring everything into a beautiful penenforcing Namdodo way. And then, of course, he spoke about the article processing charges and other things. I was saying to Professor Fred Steve Sappho and saying that we need to be careful that we are not labeled. The BMC series and others, as soon as they see that Africans are getting in there and choking, and then when it comes to evidence and best practice and what to do, they will only go there and look for the problem. But when it comes to the evidence generation, we could be potentially labeled. It's important that we compete for elsewhere. New England Journal of Medicine and so on and so compete everywhere else. And we were making a case. I know that we've done this. I recall that I led this with Richard Larby and others to start seeing how we can get waivers for article processing charges. There's always a few terms and conditions here and there. You need to make sure you check a few boxes. But talking about journals, we have our own journal of University of Science and Technology. The editor-in-chief is right here. A round of applause for Professor Yawedu Sakodie. All of you, and I think we should have a special edition, Professor Editor-in-Chief, for conference proceedings, Provost and Chair EOC. Conference proceedings, a special edition for conference proceedings, Editor-in-Chief with your team. I'm sure that you consider harnessing postgraduate training, in terms of fulfilling the SDGs and I'm not even asking, as former editor-in-chief, I'm asking you to do this. Thank you so very much. And of course, he concluded by saying that we need a scale up. We need to make sure that we have cross-cutting evidence generation. We need to be creative. We should look at the cultural context in which research is done. And I assume that many of the presentations that you're going to have will have all those cross-cultural research that are going to be done. And of course, he made a clarion call for funding. And as I indicated to you, there's a CREF, which since we came into management, we keep increasing it. We're making a case, and I'm sure that next, as chair of the advisory board of Office of Grants and Research, I will make another case to the Vice Chancellor. Hope she's a listening Vice Chancellor. Hopefully she'll listen again. And we'll move from we inherited less than $1 million. We're now 1.5. Hopefully we'll get to 2 million. And then we'll keep going as an institution so that the CREF fund grows. And then we have the GREF, which is a Graduate Research Endowment Fund. And I'm asking all of you PIs, because we're talking about funding as an opportunity for you to be able to do your research. And I'm asking all of you PIs, I know you're doing a lot already, and I've heard about what you've done as far as the College of Health Sciences Postgraduate Training Research Conference is concerned. And I'm hoping that you also contribute a little bit towards the Graduate Research Endowment Fund. I'm sure that will make the Director of Graduate Studies a very happy man. And then, of course, the Director of Office of Grants and Research. At least do this for them because they don't belong to our college. They're from engineering and science, respectively. Colleagues, I think that we have done ourselves a great job. Our keynote has done an excellent presentation, and we're grateful to him, Professor Richard Odame Phillips, the KCCI Director, for this wonderful presentation. I had one task to perform, and that is on that profound presentation by our keynote to declare that this conference, the conference for our postgraduate students within the College of the Health Sciences, is duly launched. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, KNUST Basic School Band. We'll still like to have, KNUST, we will have a musical interlude, but before that, please let's take the vote of thanks to be given by Dr. Mrs. Linda Bacha-Debra.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I would please ask permission from the chair to stand on existing protocols. And here I would like to appreciate the grace that has been bestowed on us by our dear Lord God Almighty. Much gratitude is extended to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Rita Akosua-Adeskin, who has been represented by the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Ellis Owusu-Dabo, and also the chair. We say thank you so much for prioritizing this work. Grateful to the keynote speaker, Professor Richard Odame Phillips. Very insightful message that I'm sure is still lingering in our minds, and we need to cause a change. The message I gathered was that you have to change to get a change. You can't keep doing the same things and expect the change. Thank you, Prof, for your message. To all the deans and directors herein present, we say thank you so much for making time to join us for our program today. Thank you, everybody. Faculty, thanks so much. All senior members who have gathered, we are grateful to you. We thank the media for being present, for helping with the streaming. We are streaming in here, we are streaming up there, and we are so grateful. The world is looking at us. College of Health Sciences. Thank you very much, media. We are also grateful to the sponsors. We had a huge amount of money that they have donated this time. We are so grateful to them. And we say a very, very big thank you to our sponsors as well. To our postgraduate students, without you, there will be no conference. And so for you to have gone through the efforts, we did registration before the day today. You had to submit your abstracts. Your abstracts have been reviewed. Some have been rejected. Some you had to do corrections and resubmit. You went through all that. And today you are here in your numbers. The room is so full. Thank you so much. We are so grateful to you. And we know that you are going to get a lot. And so we will keep coming. We have the next today and tomorrow, and we expect that we all, as we have gathered here in our numbers, will also be gathered today in the afternoon, tomorrow morning, and tomorrow afternoon as well. Thanks to every one of you gathered here. We are so grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. and Mrs. Linda Deborah. Please let's take note of the following announcement before we take the closing prayer. Immediately after this opening ceremony, we would have our poster viewing session. I think the posters are right in the classrooms or the auditoriums next to this particular auditorium. We will also have our lunch break, and I encourage every one of us to go into the poster room. First, the dignitaries will have their view together with our researchers, and then we will also join in to have a look at the posters, interact with people, ask questions, network, find collaborators, and then you have your snack break. After that, we are going to have the parallel sessions, that's the oral presentations. That's the parallel session 1A and 1B. I think when it's about 11:45, let's try and gather in our various rooms for oral presentations. If you have a copy of the program, I'm sure you find the room where you're supposed to have your oral presentation or where your research interest group will be meeting. All right, once again, my name is Dr. Mrs. Evelyn Asante-Kwetia, and I am from the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. We will take the closing prayer to be given by Reverend Dr. Texan. Is he here? Please let's put our hands together for Reverend Dr. Texan.
Shall we please be on our feet? Shall we pray? Our Father in heaven, we thank you for a time like this. We thank you for seeing us through this opening ceremony. We commit the rest of the program into your care. We ask that you continue to be with us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much. Please, we would like to take a photograph, and I would like to please ask deans of schools and faculties of the college, vice deans, to please join. If members of the planning committee are here, I believe you also want to take a photo. Kindly. Planning committee, please. Members of the planning committee, kindly come together for a photograph. Planning committee members. Thank you all for coming. We wish you an inspiring and eventful conference. Thank you. Postgraduate students, kindly make an ear to one of your colleagues. He would want to give you an information, please.
Okay, good afternoon to all of us. Please, my name is Jeffrey Christian Adedi, and I'm contesting for the position of GRASAC Treasurer in the forthcoming elections. And I'm seeking for your support and your votes for my candidature. So please, when you see me around, you can reach out and we can have a conversation. Thank you very much.
Students with posters, please stand by your posters for interaction. Please stand by your posters. All students with posters should stand by their posters. All students with posters should stand by their posters. Students, please stand by your posters. There's going to be a scoring for the interactions.